Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever in the world you are. Extremely excited to present before you a fireside chat. Myself, Arihant Kothari, 2005 pass out from IIST Shibpur, and along with me, I have Balasubramanian, Hari sir, fondly called Harida, who will be the guest for the day, and I will be your host for the day. It is an extremely pleasing moment for us to share before you the topic winning strategies for investing in deep tech. So before we get into the fireside chat, we would like to share a very brief history of our college in terms of entrepreneurship legacy that we've shared, the Nasdaq listings, the work that Hari sir has been doing for the college since its inception, right from making it at par, right in the dotline or .com era, to mentoring startups, to the incubation cell here. And then we will get into the fireside. So, Hari sir, maybe like a minute or two, if you would want to start in terms of the how you started your journey from the college, and then you take down to your deep tech presentation, and then we'll get down to the fireside chat.
Okay. Uh, well, thank you very much, Arihant. I'm really honored to be in front of our college alumni and students. So I'll just quickly share my my journey. So I graduated in 1984 from the electrical engineering department. But right from third year in college, I was very keen on using computers or what computers could do. So I had an interest more in computers rather than power electronics because in our time, transformers and, load, these were the type of things where, there was a lot of interest. But I was a little inclined towards computers. And so I finished my uh, graduation, and post that I got a job in ORG Systems, Baroda. ORG Systems, Baroda was a computer company. They used to make computers. So I went to Baroda to take up this job. And in 1 month's time, I realized that this is not going to be my cup of tea. So at the time I left ORG, I had an offer from BHEL and ONGC. I joined BHEL, and I was designated at the corporate office of the construction management headquarters. And I went through a training program in BHEL, which is a typical graduate engineer training program. So that went on for 3 4 years, 3 4 months, and then we were assigned to various plants. And then ultimately, I was posted at the construction management headquarters in New Delhi. I At the time, the PCs had just come into India. PCs became popular during that time, and I was really, we had to go into a computer room as if we were going to a temple. We had to open shirt, pant, shoes, everything, and go in a way as if it's a place which is not accessible. But when PCs came, they used to be just in the office room. We could see that they were more powerful, easy to use, and other things. So I was able to spot that PCs are going to replace all the mini computers and many of the other computing power. So I used to have big fights with my senior manager there. I would say, sir, don't buy a mini computer. You're spending so much. Instead, buy PCs and give it to all the people. But conventionally, people who have come from the EDP type of mentality, they like their covered area and these, air conditioned room, punch cards and things like that. So I realized that, if I have to make any change, it's going to take me 25 years in BHL when I become a general manager. So I decided that I will leave BHL. So I broke the bond. I went to Chennai and I started a company. This was so, if you see, 1985, that was the time when I started. And, from 1985 till date, I have never got salaries in my life. I only paid salaries. So that's one of the beauty of becoming an entrepreneur. And I was one of the early persons who wanted to do this. It was a very, I would say challenging thing, but I really enjoyed my journey as an entrepreneur. And during the course of my journey, I have experienced so many things, so many ups, downs, and other things. And there was nobody to guide us at that time. Today, we have a very large network of people, organizations who can all provide guidance to people who want to start companies. So during our time, there was hardly anybody. So at that time in 1988, when the internet first came to India, at the time I was very, very excited. So me and one of our college juniors, we just met on the internet. His name is Dr. Saurav Kundu. He used to be in Japan, doing his PhD in Kanagawa University. So Saurabh got in touch with me, and we talked about what can we do in the internet, and that was the birth of a portal called Calcutta Online. So Calcutta Online was, created during those days. But I used to have an IT
In lines
company
of
where we used
America
to do.
Online.
Yeah. So I used to have a company which would do typically some software, some services, and things like that. But my total devotion was to Calcutta Online, and it went on to become a great experience for me because we saw what was happening in the internet. And those days, we would tell Americans, don't worry, you can place orders on the internet, send a check to us, your order will be executed. So the first thing that I did in Calcutta Online was during those days in Calcutta, a lot of people would go to the US to study. Now their parents and their communication would typically be on phone or on aerogram. Now phones were very expensive because if you do a call, the parents normally would not call because in India also the call charges were very high at that time. So students had to call from the US and they also didn't have much money. So the calls would take place only once in a while. So at the time when email was there, what I used to do is I had a service in Calcutta Online where people in the US could send emails to Calcutta at pobox.com and they can put their parents' address. We would print that email and deliver it and charge 20 rupees. The aerogram at those times was 27 rupees. So this used to be same day delivery. At the same time, cost is also lower. So this then when we would send these letters by the hand delivery to the parents would say, বাবা একটু দাঁড়াতে পারবে আমি একটা উত্তর দিয়ে দিচ্ছি. So the communication which used to take almost 2 months, started happening in a 48-hour window. And that was really magic in those days because people were used to very late communication, but this really speeded up the communication. So Calcutta Online went on to become history. We were the first website to be reported in the Time magazine because we did Durga Puja online. At that time, I bought a camera, digital camera, and we used to take, images of all the puja pandals and the murtis and things like that, and we would host it on the internet. So it became history. So those were the days, and then subsequently, Calcutta Online got acquired by Research Engineers, which is again a Nasdaq listed company started by one of our alumni, Amrit Das. Amrit Da, used to run this company called I think STAD. STAD. He had a software called STAD, which used to be used for construction and civil engineering. Um, it was a very popular software, and Amrita had come at that time, and he sort of convinced me to sell the company to him so that he could take this global and do multiple cities online. So that was also an experience of acquisition. And I did the transition. I went through a lot of pain because employees, in Bengal, employees are very emotional, sentimental. But I did the transition management and handed over that whole website to Amrita so that he can take it forward. They had a very big facility in Salt Lake, and they took more people and other things. After that, after doing the handing over, I went back to my normal business. That's when I went to Silicon Valley just to understand what is the ecosystem in the valley. So I met a lot of Indian entrepreneurs. I met a lot of VCs, and I realized that they have a very good ecosystem. That's when I came across TIE, the Indus Entrepreneurs, which was started in Silicon Valley by some of our Indian expats who all built companies. And I was very inspired by what TIE was doing. They were really helping entrepreneurs. They were really mentoring entrepreneurs to understand and give connections, to give support, all types of support, which typically is required and which doesn't cost money. That's when I understood the spirit of time. I came back to India and I started giving back to the ecosystem. So that's a short journey. And over the last 14, 15 years, I've been mostly in the startup ecosystem. I mentor founders who have an idea and take them from one stage to another stage. And I've seen some fantastic, successes and many failures also. So I've seen companies which had nothing. Today, they're all unicorns. And I've been part of these journeys, helping the founders, take the right type of decisions or decisions and, right type of strategies also. So I think I have lot of practical experience in terms of how this whole thing works, and I've been part of many entrepreneurial journeys. So I also used to do small investments, and over a period of time, I have a portfolio of about 100 companies. I also sit in a private equity fund called Ivy Cap Ventures. In Ivy Cap Ventures, mostly, these started by alumni of IITs, and our ecosystem is the full IIT ecosystem. We have the entire IIT ecosystem supporting the portfolio companies. We are now onto our third fund. We have 5,000 crores of assets under management. Our third fund is 2,500 crores. In Ivy Cap, what they did was, they part of the carry, which means part of the money which is made by the fund managers, 5% of that can be donated or given to your institution of choice. So in my case, I have nominated IEST as my preferred organization, but unfortunately, because of government mechanisms, any money which is given from outside, it also has a need for audit and other things. So the endowment fund, as we call it, the endowment fund is still not created in most of the places. I think only IIT Delhi has been able to create it, but most of the IITs are still struggling to understand how they will use any funds which are given for as an endowment fund, which can be used for supporting entrepreneurs. So this is in short my journey. I can take more questions when we open
Yeah,
it for
so
Q
we'll
and A.
take up questions at the end, and Hari sir would request you to set the context, to
Yeah.
share the presentation that
Yes.
you have in terms of what is deep
Yeah.
tech and
Yeah.
basics of it.
Okay. See, one of the major problems in the tech world is we use too much of jargons. So if you ask even very seasoned people what is deep tech, each one would have a different answer, right? So in fact, today we just come into, we talk about deep tech when deep tech can combine multiple sciences, multiple technologies, multiple I would say challenges, and create a solution which impacts humanity. That's how I would call it as deep tech. So deep tech is something which has to combine multiple disciplines in order to solve a problem which is very important for humanity. So, but technically, people will talk about scientific advancements in engineering innovation and other things. So, typically, artificial intelligence, machine learning, quantum computing, biotechnology, and synthetic biology. So, these are all some of the domains where we typically talk about deep tech. See, semiconductors has been existing for a very, very long time. So why is semiconductors today we call it as deep tech? It's primarily because the type of changes which are happening in the space is phenomenal, and they can really disrupt the entire marketplace. Okay, so characteristics of deep tech. If you see deep tech, typically, deep tech companies require a very large amount of capital and a very long period of time. It's not possible to do a deep tech in 3 years. It typically takes anything from, in my experience, it takes anything from 10 to 15 years for a deep tech company to come to maturity, which means there are a number of pivots, number of iterations which keep happening. The development cycles are large. During this time, the company can also pivot, which means they started with something, but after they reached a particular place, they decided this is not going to work. So they changed their entire, the way they would work and move forward with a different challenge that they have actually understood while they were working on the previous challenge. So some of the examples is, if you take biotech, even today, drug research and many of these like clinical trials, all of them, all of these which are very important for human beings, these are all taking a very, very long cycles to actually come up with a solution. So deep tech is now also used by for various things, for materials, for doing artificial let's say parts of the body. So many things are happening which are all very progressive, but still have not got the real results to implement them right today. So it's going to go through a number of phases to actually see the light in terms of commercial utilization or in terms of being deployed. So, for example, if you see what Elon Musk is doing in the US, many of the projects that he has done or many of the companies he's done, they're all deep tech companies because we've never thought about, how we can achieve some of the things that he has done so fast. Even space tech companies are, doing so many things in space tech, and many of them are deep tech because they involve experimentation in space or using different materials which are suitable for space travel. Now, if you look at what is the India story in deep tech, India is really progressing very well in deep tech. So we have plenty of companies which are working on in the deep tech space. I the last estimate is about maybe 1,800 companies are there who are doing some form of deep tech. We have got now investors and funds which are purely focused on deep tech investment, which means these companies will only invest in deep tech companies or majorly invest in deep tech companies, and there are specific funds for that. We have also got incubators, which are focused on deep tech. For example, I sit in the investment committee of ITIC, which is IIT Hyderabad's incubation center, which is purely a deep tech incubation center, and they have done some wonderful work, have some good success stories. Similarly, universities, for example, IIT Madras, IIT Kanpur, and IIT Bombay, Sign IIT Bombay, all of them have got excellent, I would say, ecosystem to support deep tech companies. So other than that, privately also, there are many entrepreneurs, who are working in the space and who have built some excellent, I would say, solutions or directions, which are very deep tech. So you see that there are plenty of incubators also. So if you have a deep tech idea, you can select where you want to go, and then you can, apply there and get incubated there. So some of the space startups you can see is, in robotics and then drones. Then you have space tech, and Government of India has now set up a 10,000 crore deep tech fund, which means this is a fund of funds. So if there is any venture fund which is setting up a deep tech fund, they can apply and get these funds as an LP, as a limited partner of the fund. Plus, government can also directly invest in many of the institutions and give them the funds to apply for deep tech. So if you see India's deal, 90 million, we have an Atradyne deal. We are seeing many other deals which are all very high value. Recently, a drone company has got a very large investment, almost, I think, 500, 600 crores. These are all single investments which are happening. Now, what is the source and deep tech deals? So deep tech deals are typically coming from university incubators, university research. They're also coming from cross-border, which means there are companies, entrepreneurs in India who are associated with some other entrepreneurs in the US or other people, and together they want to do something and they create deep tech companies. There are successful models which are also, working for many deep tech startups. So scientific research is very important. Engineering research is also very important, and the founding team is very important in deep tech. So it's a very different way of evaluating a deep tech company, because you really need to have the DNA of the deep tech company in the right place. Only then it will happen. For example, I'll tell you, there is a company called Morphing Machines in Bangalore. Morphing Machines, again, started by two scientists who have done 15 years of research, and last year only they have actually got the first funding. So 15 years they have done research on how to create programmable semiconductors, which means if you have to do a silicon chip, the cost of doing trials and other things is very high. In their case, everything can be simulated in software, and they cut a lot of development time and also cost. So millions of dollars of money can be saved, and this has come out of 15 years of research, mostly done in Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. So there is a lot of deep work which has been done, and IISc Bangalore has got excellent, I would say, ecosystem which supports robotics, many things in EVs and space and other things. So we have many institutions which are now focused and are doing very good work in this space. So you have to understand that deep tech requires a lot of money, because the type of manpower you need to hire is not easy and cheap, easily available, and they are not cheap. The other one is the type of infrastructure you require is also very different. For example, you need labs, you need equipment, you need testing facilities. These are not normally available in private sector, or you can't go and get a testing facility done. I remember in one of these startups that I had seen 4 years ago, they were building something for space, and they had developed a material. Now, to test that material, they had to go to NASA to get it tested, because in India we didn't have such testing facilities which could test the capability of a material which can be used to house people in, let's say, space. So we still have a long way to go in terms of matching with many other countries like Israel or US or Japan, but we are getting there. So there are, the type of returns. If you look at what is the type of return you can get in deep tech, the returns can be very high. At the same time, you can lose a lot of money also, which means normally in deep tech, what happens is the team pivots in case they are not able to find what they are trying to do, or if the market doesn't support, they will typically pivot and go into something else. So normally the IRR could be anything from 18 to 30%. And it again depends on so many factors. Normally, deep tech companies have something to offer globally, so the valuation metrics, everything are very different. So if you see today, Meera Murati's startup has no product, nothing, but she's got straight away $2 billion investment, which means the company is already valued with no product, no revenues at a $12 billion valuation. So the markets, especially for certain technologies, are changing very fast, and deep tech is very, very responsible for that. So in India, if you see in 2025, we have done plenty of deals already. The market, 2025, we are just at the beginning, but we have already done number of deals in 2025. So that's all I had to say to set the context, and now we can actually do the actual fireside chat.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
thank you, Anisar. That was extremely insightful, and it has certainly set the context. So to start with, Hari sir, you mentioned about where all the deep tech startups are scattered, universities, incubators, accelerators, and from an investor's point of view, where do you go first? Do you look at all of them together, or is it a step-by-step method that first go to incubator, then to a university, then to...
See, actually, it doesn't work that way. What happens is, you need to have good connections. When I say connections with in space, because it's a very highly specialized domain. For example, if you're doing something in drug discovery, or if you're doing something in precision quantum computing, right? There are some centers or pockets which are focused on quantum computing. Government of India has also got some organizations which are now supporting these type of activities. So depending on what you are wanting, it's you have to go to that specific place, and then you have to keep your eyes and ears open. What I normally do is I normally follow specific VCs who are into deep tech investing. So in the case of VCs, what happens is they take money from others, and they give a promise that in 10 years time, we will return your money with a lot of capital appreciation. Right. So what happens is the moment a fund is created, which is a deep tech fund, you have to find out who are the partners, who are the people who are working on the deep tech fund, and then you start building the relationship with them. You share deals, which means if they have a deal, they will be telling you, okay, this is the deal that we are evaluating. In some cases, some deals they may not do. They may ask you, do you want to evaluate it? And some cases we do co-investment, because the risk, for example, a typical deep tech company could start with something like anything from $1 to $5 million, and then the next round could be $20 million, then $100 million, then $250 million, so on and so forth. So at the initial stages, whoever takes the risk, they have a better chance of getting a return. So every fund has got their thesis in terms of how much they will invest, and how they will invest, and in what sector they will invest. So typically, deep tech VCs would create a portfolio type of a engagement. When I say portfolio, for example, there could be two, three companies in space tech itself, which a deep tech fund would have. There could be two, three companies in the drug discovery or a biomedical space. So there could be two, three companies in the robotics space. There could be two, three companies in the EV space. So they typically build a portfolio so that there is some amount of similarity in terms of the market, understanding how the market is changing, and also what type of technologies are working. So sourcing deals is something which, if you are in the network, automatic, and if you have a reputation, automatically deals come to you. Founders also search for good people who can help them. So in my case, I typically, these deals come to me automatically. I don't really work very hard until unless there is a fund which says, hey, we have some money, we want to invest in a deep tech fund. Can you please find out a deal where we can invest?
So next part is, Hari sir, how are these deals evaluated? How is the evaluation done? I understand that tech is different and deep tech is different. Tech, you summarize, it's basically the team, the traction, the testimonials, and of course, this team traction meaning you have certain users. If they are happy, and
No,
there's a
no, no.
well-set
In deep
team,
tech, no,
it's
no. In
easy for
deep tech,
it.
you
But
can't.
in deep
No, no,
tech,
no.
we can't evaluate
Deep
this
tech,
way.
you can't get product market fit early, right? Deep tech is
Right.
more about
So
combining
how
a
are the
number of.
real-time evaluations done here?
See, one of the most important, there are two components which I would say are very important. One is the team. Does the team have deep experience? Because typically deep tech, you require people who have really been hands-on, in the sense people who have gone very deep into that domain, who are very passionate about it, and that comes from researchers. I won't say that there are entrepreneurs who have not done PhDs or MTech, but they're also very 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 passionate about the problem that they are solving, and they are also deep tech. They are also running deep tech companies. So I would say that the team is very very important. The team should have multiple skills. When I say multiple skills, if you are looking at space technology, if you are building a rocket or if you're building something in combustion, then you require a good mechanical engineer, you require electronics engineer, robotics, computer science, communications. All types of combinations are required. So it depends on how the team is rounded in order to solve the problem or the domain. So it's a teamwork. It cannot be done by one person. So, for example, morphing machines, there were two scientists who built this whole technology over 15 years. But the scientists are not good at going to market. So when they got funded, the first thing was, please get a CEO, who can actually go and sell your technology or go and talk to customers and explain what is the technology that you're doing. Because scientists are not good at, generally not good at doing that. So you require a combination, you require business people also to come in. So I would say that evaluation is pretty complex. You require subject matter experts. For example, there is a company which is doing something in cancer. Now, when this company comes to me, what I do is I will point them to a few people saying that go there and speak to them. And then funds, VC funds have typically subject matter experts. So they would hire or they would have in their panel very specific people who have done work in that space. For example, recently I met a fund and they introduced me to a manager, to one of their consultants who is, I would say, advisors, who used to be the CEO of a drug company, because they are now investing in deep tech and there are some drug companies. They have brought in some experts who understand the field. So this is how it works. It's very tough to take an investment decision in deep tech. The founders are very important. The domain in which this company is working is important, because this work, you can easily find out what's happening in the US, what's happening in Israel, what's happening in Australia, China. All these markets you have to also assess in terms of what is happening. Are they ahead of us, or can we sort of go into that space? So these are something very important to understand. What is the future of that market? What is the future of the technology? And of course, the founding team is very important. So that's the basic due diligence, because you don't have revenues, you don't have anything to show except for the fact that there is a potential in this business or in this technology if it is done in this way.
Uh, Say a deep tech startup has got investments. What are the investors' expectations in terms of after giving them investment? Given that the longer cycles, given that the commercialization will happen after many many years, so what are some of the immediate expectation, medium term, long term, or
See,
maybe short?
typically investors expect that their money should multiply, right? So if you have taken a round of funding, and then whatever you are supposed to do with that money, you do that and go to the next stage. In the next stage, again, you require money. So another VC comes in and you can also double up. So what happens is the valuation keeps increasing based on how you are progressing. So VCs would typically look at a momentum or a velocity in terms of how fast the valuations are increasing, and who are the other people who are coming into the cap table, which means who are the other VCs who are coming. For example, there are very large funds which can bring in an immense value to some of these startups. So if these large funds are evaluating you and they also want to invest, then that's a win for the early round of investors. So most of it, I would say that they will wait for at least 7 years for an exit, but they would be very happy if they can see that the company is progressing and there is more investor interest coming in.
What are the startups' expectations from the investors other than money? Clients, mentoring.
See, this is one thing which most entrepreneurs miss out. So they normally would go to anybody who gives them money. But it's very important. We always advise entrepreneurs that it's not the money, it's many other things than the money which are very important for you to move in the business. So typically, founders should evaluate what type of companies the VC has invested, Are there similar companies? They should talk to founders of some of the portfolio companies so that they understand how they operate. And then they should take a decision. So it's always better to have two, three options before you sign a term sheet. And it is always good to go with people who have deep domain knowledge in that system because they bring in a lot of expertise. They bring in a lot of subject matter experts. For example, if Khosla Ventures were to invest in a company, we exactly know that they would actually back you up with somebody who is very solid in the domain, who has done it, who is an entrepreneur, or who has been a CXO type of a person, and he will be able to help you. He or she will be able to help you in your domain. So these type of VCs are very well respected because they bring in tremendous value and they help the company at all times. So it's very important for founders to evaluate with which VC, whether the VC will suit them or not. It's just not about money. It's also about many other things.
What are the characteristics of a good deep tech founder?
See, a deep tech founder, I would say, should be literally like he should be so compulsive in terms of what he's wanting to do. That is a very, very important character. It's just not about being passionate. It's about being extremely passionate, which means you are obsessed in solving a problem. So any founder who is obsessed in solving a particular problem, they make very good deep tech founders. And the other thing is they understand that it's not going to be easy. They understand that the journey is a very long journey. It's a tiring journey, and it's an adventurous journey where a lot of things could happen, which is detrimental to them. So I would say that we would like to see the founder, the person who is leading the company, is extremely passionate to the extent that we call him a mad fellow. So I would say that you have to be really very that should show in a founder. That's when VCs get, I would say, uh, comfortable saying that they at least are putting money into a person who is solving a deep problem. That's one. And then there are other, very, very smart founders who have already done it, who are second time, third time founders. They come with a very different mindset. That also instills a lot of confidence because these founders, because they have done many other startups before and they have got funded and they've provided exit, they come with the understanding of the game in its real sense. So though second time, third time founders may not be as successful as they were in the first time, but normally the risks are much lower because they understand the ecosystem and what it takes for a VC to get an exit.
And if we were to evaluate characteristics of a good deep tech investor or an investment group, what would you look at?
See, you have to look at what is the type of portfolio company that they have invested. You have to see who are the people who are managing the fund, what type of domain expertise they bring in, and you have to talk to founders of their portfolio companies to understand what they provide. So there are many financial VCs. The financial VCs are not technical in nature. So they will typically put money when somebody else is leading the deal. So they are also important and they are also required because every fund will only expose themselves to, let's say, 5% or 10% of the total fund to one deep tech company. But the deep tech company may be requiring straight away $25 million, whereas your budget is only $5 million. So at that time, you need other investors who come in because you are backing them. So it becomes like a approach where somebody is leading and that person has got domain knowledge, that person has got expertise. Now there are many other people who will piggyback because these people are leading the deal. So it's important for the lead investor to be assessed by the founders. And the lead investor should have at least a track record of supporting deep tech companies and deep tech founders.
Uh, Hari sir, what role do you think governments can play in the deep tech ecosystem, the central and the state, from the Indian context?
See, I can talk about the central government. I think the current central government has done tremendous work in terms of supporting entrepreneurship in the last 10 years. So if you see our number of startups today, which are registered, that is more than 1,70,000. whereas earlier it used to be just about 10,000. So we have had a very significant increase in the number of startups. That's one. The other one is programs like Shark Tank, in India, whatever has happened, at least it has created a very positive, what should I say, vibe for startups and startup founders. Earlier in our times, if we were saying that we are going to do a company, then people will say that you will not get married, you will not get money, you will come back to a job. So jobs were the first thing which people were talking to, till about, let's say, 5 years ago. But now, parents also encourage their children to do startups. All this has happened because of one, a favorable government policy, and also private sector. We have seen phenomenal successes. We have seen so many people who have become billionaires in India in the last 10 years, right? And so many millionaires. You see so many employees who are just 30 years who have made a lot of money because of the ESOPs and other things. So there is a very positive, what should I say, change in terms of what's happening in the country. The government has had a very significant role to play in that. And the government understands that until unless we innovate, until unless innovation is supported, country cannot grow fast. Country cannot solve many problems. Country will be dependent on technology from other places. So government has, and at the see, and in the private sector, we don't take, we will not put money into anything where we see there is a blind risk. So government schemes like Startup India Seed Fund, many of the grants which government has come up with, all these are significantly driving innovation. So I'll give you an example. There is a company called Dehat is the unicorn in the agri-tech business. So when Dehat, these guys were from IIT Delhi, or I think IIT Delhi, yeah. So when they went to a village and they saw what is the possibility of doing a business from a village, they spent a lot of time, but nobody would touch them because we don't have any, focused fund on agriculture or no support for agricultural startups. But some of the government institutions which had grants and other things, they were able to support and give them some money. And with that, today Dehat has come where it is, and today investors are chasing them in multiple places. So this is one example. There are many other examples from IIT Chennai. So IIT Madras has got excellent companies which they incubated, which today have become literally like a leader in that space, and they have a phenomenal increase in valuation and other things. So the role of the government in supporting research, supporting innovation in various forms has really helped the country to become the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. And if you see, government has got a fund of funds, which means government through SIDBI and many other institutions, they are investing in funds. So if they can see that there is a young company, team which wants to create a fund, the government is also putting in money to support them in their venture. Banks are given freedom to invest. Insurance companies are given freedom to invest. So this is at the central level. The central level, there is a lot of funds, and this money gets distributed through central government institutions. Now, if you look at states, unfortunately, not all states are as progressive as what is happening in the central government. So many states have done a really good work. For example, Karnataka over the period of last 25, 30 years, because of the IT boom, Karnataka has had very good schemes, especially for IT companies. And now they are looking at doing it for, the other sectors as well. They have got their own startup program. Similarly, Bihar has got, Bengal doesn't have. Unfortunately, in Bengal, we have been lagging behind in this. Bengal government wanted to create a fund with SIDBI, but SIDBI had put in the fund. They had given some term sheets also, but the money from the government did not come, and that many of these startups who got a term sheet did not get the money. So, but I think now in Bengal also there is some activity, and people are, Bengal private entrepreneurs are doing very well. I would say the without government support, many good startups have now come out of Bengal, and many are coming out. Many other states are taking initiatives like Goa government, Uttarakhand, Maharashtra. Maharashtra is the startup capital of the country. Of all the startups, the number of startups are highest in Maharashtra. Then only Karnataka comes. NCR is also, now has got a very large number of startups. Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, if you see Telangana's T Hub, it's a fantastic facility which the government has made, and you can see excellent startups in T Hub, which means they give the facility, they give the support, and they continuously keep supporting these startups so that they get to the next stage. So I would say that state governments can also do a lot, in terms of their local area, and they have to allocate funds. and they have to have good people to actually run this program. Because if you get a typical, bureaucrat to run this program, it depends on the quality of the bureaucrat in terms of whether he understands this or not. And there is a lot of friction which happens, before they can start performing. So I would say state governments need a very good startup policy to encourage their local, employment generation and startup innovation.
So with this, Hari sir, we come to India focus and would like to know your thoughts on what are some of the good deep tech investors which we as deep tech startups can look upon, or rather as incubators and accelerators look upon to partner with.
See, I would say that it depends on the space that you're working on. So let's look at incubators. So there are deep tech incubators. If you want, for example, if you're doing something in biotechnology and things like that, BIRAC has got very good grants, which researchers can take. Similarly, Venture Center in Pune is a very good place for certain businesses. IIT Hyderabad, IIT Kanpur, IIT Delhi, IIT, most of the IITs, especially the earlier ones, they are all excellent places where there is a culture of at least talking and thinking about deep tech. IISc Bangalore is another institution of excellence, where a lot of work, deep tech work is being done in multiple domains, which means they're doing in, mechatronics, they're doing something in semiconductor, they're doing something in climate tech. So many spaces that they are working, which is extremely good because they're a research organization, right? As a research institution, they attract a lot of scientists who are coming to do PhDs and things like that. So there is definitely number of places which you need to scan to find out who are the best people for you to get incubated or join as an incubator. In terms of funds, it may not be it may be too early for you to actually ask funds for investment, but it's important for you to keep in touch with all the funds and tell them what you're doing. So it's not that you just go cold with a presentation deck and a fund is going to fund you. Fund builds a relationship with many deep tech founders over a period of time, watch them, see them, how they're performing, and then they take a decision. By the time they need to take a decision, they're very well aware of what the founder and the team is doing, what's happening in that space. So they continuously track founders who are working in this space and they support them. So I think it's not an easy job. So you really need to have your eyes and ears open. You need to network. You have to go. You have to go to many events, especially where you can meet other founders, you can meet other investors, and through this you build your own thesis in terms of who are the best people for you to go to. And there are some very good specialized incubators today in the country.
Uh, So coming to the last part of our fireside chat, in terms of the Skip India movement that has recently started and has gained some interest in terms of Indian customers not paying well to the deep tech founders, to the deep tech companies, not entertaining them, free POCs. How to tackle this, Harrison?
See, generally, India is a very, what should I say, different markets here. Corporates typically squeeze startup companies. They keep them running and they keep them on their toes. At the same time, when it comes to payment, generally, there is a lot of, they are very stingy in terms of making payments. So I would say you have to choose your customer properly. Government is a very good paymaster today because if you're working with the government, you can be assured of two things. You can be assured of your payment. And today we have programs like IDEX and other things. Which, for example, if you're doing something in the defense sector and this is deep tech, you can be rest assured that if they give you a pilot, that's a paid pilot and you'll get paid. Similarly, if you have a product which does not have any other competition, people can buy that product through the GEM portal on a single tender basis. So many such things are possible with the government. Private sector, choose your partner or your, whoever is asking you for the POC, do it very carefully. And, look at how you can do POCs with overseas companies because overseas companies understand what it takes to build this. So overseas companies will definitely engage with you if you have the right solution. So you have to be careful. At the same time, you can't judge everything properly. There are mistakes which are made on both sides. So it's part of the game. So I would say India is improving. We now have very large corporates which are also into deep tech, and they understand the game and they support startups.
So thank you, Hari sir. We have a couple of questions. First one is from Hassan Sheikh. How can an institute like IIST create a deep tech culture like IIT Hyderabad?
See, to tell you very honestly, we require a very young crop of, educators. When I say educators, people who are doing their masters in the institute or PhD in the institutes, they all have to be modern, and they need to understand that they are the foundation which who have to build this ecosystem, from nothing. Now, if you see the conventional professors, they are more interested in what they are doing. They are not interested in any experimentation or taking any additional responsibility. So this is a problem of culture. So the way BE college has become IEST, there has been a transformation, and that's been slow. There have been many challenges. You have the same people who have seen both sides. So we require a young set of, I would say, challengers who are going to challenge the existing system, and they have to motivate and inspire students so that they can think like that. See, I have done many student startups, in the sense I've supported many student startups, taken them for funding. They've also never worked in their life, but today they employ 200, 300 engineers in their company. So I've seen phenomenal success from many parts of the country, even probably in West Bengal, but not from IEST as such, from the college to college to campus, or I would say campus to company. Very few such cases, but I think we really need to bring in very good talent. We need to touch our alumni network. A lot of our alumni can offer fantastic value to the institute. So the institute should go out to reach to alumni so that they can support, because many alumni have a lot of experience. They have built companies. BE College overall, if you see, the alumni would have built so many companies across the world, and they all have something to offer to the institute and their current students. So I think it has to be a sort of a small revolution, and that can come only with leadership. The leadership has to come from every single professor, every single student in the college, and they have to set examples. And it can be done. I don't see a problem, because if you see BITS Pilani, today BITS Pilani has got one of the best entrepreneurial ecosystem. We have got some very successful entrepreneurs. BITS Pilani alumni have created a fund so that they can support any of their ex-students. In our 84 batch also, we have all contributed to support some entrepreneurs. We have a fund through which some people who have an idea, they can be given money, and they can sort of test out their ideas. So many things are happening, but we require more and more people to come forward and support these initiatives. So that's the way we can create a good, um, how can I effectively interact with investors to secure a good amount of funding? Sailesh Kumar asked this question. See, investors' job is to invest money, right? So if you have a good problem statement for which you have a solution and there is a good market, investors will chase you. So it's the other way around. So you have to focus on your customer. If you can focus on your customer and the problem is large enough and you've got a very unique solution, investors will come to you. There's no problem with investors, because investors' job is to ensure that they put money into companies which can actually multiply their money. So you have to keep in touch. Don't expect that in the first meeting you are going to get a term sheet. Just build your relationship with investors. Tell them what you are doing. Take the feedback from them. Work on your customers and look at what is the problem you are solving and how well you can solve it.
So Hari sir, one question came on WhatsApp. Like you mentioned about working with governments and government doing a lot of things, and working with governments in the Skip India movement also, like your government, governments, your payments are secure, but they are delayed. How to avoid that delay?
No, no. Nowadays, governments have to pay in time. So if the government doesn't pay you in time, there could be plenty of reasons where you have not fulfilled the terms and conditions. Otherwise, there is a portal, grievance portal. If you put it in that portal, immediately you will start getting money. So the government has created a portal also where any delayed payment beyond, I think, 30 days or 60 days, you can just put that this payment has not come. Immediately, the grievance section takes action and they start getting into the companies, the government departments which have not paid, and they start escalating it.
Students face, this is from Sajan Kumar, students face difficulty while choosing the campus placement or go for entrepreneurship journeys. So, employability versus entrepreneurship, what would you prefer and why?
See, this is a journey, right? So it's not that because you're not getting, see, there are many reasons why you would become an entrepreneur. And there are many reasons you would not want to become an entrepreneur. Both are right and both are, it's all dependent on the individual. See, campus placement is something which I think most of the current crop of students need to understand that you cannot expect to get a job from campus until unless you have the skills which are in demand in the market. Now, the market is changing so fast that the way we teach our students, that's not changing fast enough, which means a market is changing every 6 months. Like 1 year back, prompt engineering was a very important skill which everybody wanted to practice. But today, it's not prompt engineering, it's something else. Today, it is learning how to use the tools. That's very important. Learning how to build agents and agentic architecture. These are all very important. So I would say that students have to be on their toes. One, because the market, the way it is changing, it is very interesting. If you like this, then you can do anything that you want. That is one. The other one is you cannot expect that you are going to somebody is going to come to campus and hire you because you are engineer from IEST. That's not going to happen. So it is people will hire skills, they will not hire degrees. People will hire attitude, they will not hire because you are good looking. So please keep that in mind, that it's very important for you to understand what you want to do in life. If you don't know what you want to do in life, invest time in deciding what you want to do in life. And if that works for you, go ahead. If that doesn't work for you, go to the next plan of what you want to do in life. So I would say that campus placement is, see, I will tell you, there are some startups of mine, they hire interns at the third year, and continuously these guys are working, and by the time they graduate, they already are working in that company. But they're so skilled, or they work so hard that they become very good employees for these companies. So right from third year, you have to look at doing internship, and you have to look at doing internship in places or in domains where you want to work or where you want to build your career.
So, Hari sir,
Startup India, yeah.
you would want to highlight one or two mistakes that deep tech founders do and should not do in general?
See, it is not one or two mistakes. See, you make hundreds of mistakes. Only thing is you learn from these mistakes and don't make the same mistake again. So one of the biggest mistakes most people make is, they underestimate the challenges. They think it's going to happen very quickly. That's one. The other thing is they are going to expect that funding is going to come automatically. That's not going to happen. The third thing is hiring the right team. If you make one mistake in hiring a wrong team member, you're set back by 3 months or 6 months. So it's very, very important to understand who to hire and build the team, and also um, continuous scanning the market in terms of what is happening for the competition, who are all the people who are working in the same space. All these things are very, very important for founders to do, and founders keep on making mistakes. If you don't mistakes, you don't learn. And a founder is like a scientist who is doing experiments. Most of the experiments fail, but the experiment teaches you what not to do, and ultimately you succeed. So mistakes are plenty, and founders should not be afraid of making mistakes.
Uh, Thank you, Hari sir. I see, Konika, we have one good news. Rather, it's compared to the macro ecosystem, it's nothing but yes, Startup India has already identified IIST Shibpur, given initially 2 crore and next 4 crore may be coming. So that's a good news. But of course, with 2 to 4 crores, given the ecosystem, given the way we want to head, it's too less. But nonetheless, we
No,
will
no, it's
make
a
a.
see, I have seen plenty of good startups come out of this Startup India seed fund. See, for example, there is a researcher or an innovator, right? The innovator wants 25 lakhs or 50 lakhs to, test his product or do something about the product. And, today no private company will or private investor will back you, right? So Startup India seed fund is actually doing that. So it gives money to good innovators to test their ideas. And, once you're able to take that and do something, then other people come in. So it's a very good fund, and Startup India can do grants also. For example, if you up to 20 lakhs, they can do a grant to a founder or to a registered startup. So 20 lakhs and 50 lakhs, these two are the slabs in which investments can be made. Up to 50 lakhs, that is.
So thank you, Hari sir. With this, we come to an end. And on behalf of GAABESU Entrepreneurship SIG, I would like to thank you for being the guest for the day. And thank you, participants, for making this such an interactive session. Myself, Arihant Kothari, your host for the day, leading the Entrepreneurship SIG cell of IIST Shibpur, and presently working with NASSCOM Deeptech, enabling startups in the Deeptech space to grow through impact, innovation, and scale. Would take your permission and end this session. Look forward to another engaging session very soon. Thank you, Hari sir. Thank you. Thank you, GAABESU.
Thank you very much, and wishing you all the best.